These walls could talk.
To walk these halls, you know how to give back. You know how to reach back.
They'd walk you through the history.
Dr. Martin Luther King.
In the hallways.
Juanita Abernathy.
Of Booker T. Washington High.
Gladys Knight.
Over 100 years.
Maynard Jackson.
Many legends walked through those halls during a time when opportunities for blacks were scarce.
You had to pay to get into Washington High School. $50 to come to school. And now education is free.
It became Atlanta's first school for black students, a school Valerie Williams is proud to say she walked out of with her diploma.
We are scrappers, we are fighters, we are grinders.
Just like Booker T. Washington, who was an educator and one of the most influential spokesmen for black people. His namesake is still trying to usher young people like Belle Williams into adulthood, ready to face a tough world.
It just gives you more pressure to be great and be better.
Born from Washington's vision, to the tears of joy falling from his great-great-granddaughter's eyes, full of pride, knowing the impact he continues to have on students.
It's an engravement of his philosophies, of the standard that he set well before his time.
Washington lifted the veil of ignorance, and members of the Georgia Historical Society lifted another veil, showing off the school's historical marker, preserving the history in these hallways forever.
It is important that students know the history so that they don't repeat it, so that they know the possibilities.
Ava Park tenants
didn't give us time to do anything.
Forced out of their homes abruptly Thursday, they say, with no long-term plan of what's next for them.
Look at the families, they don't have nowhere to go.
Enough pressure to move tenant Clifford Hamilton to tears. He figured this day was coming as he's been trying to expose conditions here for some time with a petition.
I started talking to my neighbors. They had even worse problems than I had. I broke down because we shouldn't have to live in.
The city of Griffin agreed when a spokesperson says Griffin Housing Authority got a hold of Hamilton's over 30 signatures. It brought to light the deplorable conditions tenants feel were being swept under the rug. City staff showed up last Thursday to inspect all 80 units.
They brought a crime scene van out here, pulled stuff out of the office. That's when I know it's real serious.
But it's the seriousness afterward that left residents feeling hopeless. The city revoked occupancy for all buildings, effectively closing Ava Park. Many of these units completely boarded up with the utilities cut off, forcing residents to move out with no air.
Y'all just not coming July 25th and telling us, oh, this is not livable, but we've been making complaints to y'all for years. So they basically just hide in their hand.
Sir Nadia Richmond says she had to uproot her children and move to the temporary housing being provided to her.
It ain't even about being comfortable. It's just about us having a roof over our head for now, but it's definitely not a long-term thing we can do.
A city representative says HUD will be responsible for permanent housing, but no word on a plan. And property owners Millennia have yet to respond to 11 Alive. In the meantime, Richmond, fed up with the uncertainty, wants to uncover it all in court.
Come together and do a class action lawsuit against Millennial. We're not letting up.
At least 6 punches sent shockwaves on social media.
Did y'all have to constantly punch him in his ribs like that?
Video of 22-year-old Andre Casey's arrest made it back to his mother, Dorothea, and was shared more than 100,000 times.
It's almost like a George Floyd incident here in my hometown. You understand? Knees on the back, repeatedly punching him.
Griffin police say it all started when Andre was seen banging on a door Saturday at an apartment on Haskell Ward Drive in Fairmont. His mother says that home belongs to his child's grandmother. Officers also say Andre has a criminal history.
I'm not saying my son is an angel. He did have a violation of probation warrant against him.
But it's what happened after that Dorothea says isn't adding up. Police say Andre tried to run. When they got him on the ground, they say he refused to put his hands behind his back. Police say that's when officers hit him with closed fists. What happened next is even more confusing. Police took Andre to the hospital but say he didn't cooperate with medics. Then officers say the jail rejected him because he was under the influence of Percocet. During the drive back to the hospital, police say Andre, while handcuffed, managed to hide a gun even after officers searched his pockets.
I don't know if it's set up. I would hate to think law enforcement would do that, but if he's tied, handcuffed to the back, How could that be?
Casey is facing a number of charges, including felony obstruction, but his mother says she won't accept the police's version of the story. Activist Ray Muhammad says you can count on him to hold the officers accountable if the chief does not.
And we, the community, will not settle for anything less than a termination of those 3 officers.
The song that gathered crowds onto the dance floor.
He always wanted to have people dance and be happy and, come together.
And a crowd gathered one more time to say goodbye.
His heart was open and wide.
His wife knows her heart as Anthony Leonard Platt, but the world knew him as DJ Unk. Unk exploded on the radio back in 2006 with top 10 Billboard hits Walk It Out and Two Step. But long before that, longtime friend DJ Threat says he was keeping the party going for teens all around Atlanta.
Atlanta is what made we kind of feed off of what we see in our neighborhood.
A product of his environment, Antonio Eagle says Unk was inspired by the crunk and snap era, merging the music together to make the world dance.
And he was traveling to Japan and everything. He was overseas.
His songs still circulating clubs and parties to this day. Grammy-nominated rapper Glorilla recently sampled DJ Unk, and that song is charting now. Eagle says that's because Unk made feel-good music that every generation can understand.
He just wanted to do something good with his music.
While the music lives, DJ Unk died at age 43, leaving behind 7 kids and a big music family too.
He earned his wings.
When Unk wasn't soaring on stage, DJ Threat said he did his best to unite the community that made him. And one final dance party is exactly how he would have wanted to go out.
He's did several events and charities, and I'm sure everybody will be missing him.
No matter if you're cis or trans or non-binary, we're all trying to fit into a box that we were never meant to fit into.
The Purpose Ball is meant to be a way to be inclusive for everyone to express themselves freely.
I hope it continues to build up LGBTQ community at a time in which so many are coming against the community.
Rashad Burgess with Gilead Sciences says the focus is on trans Black women and equity in healthcare, as the medical industry just hasn't caught up with their needs.
The impact that HIV has had on Black trans folks.
That, along with other tragedies. In April, 3 trans women were killed in Atlanta, including Ashley Burton and Rashida Coco Williams. In response, Atlanta is already rolling out funds. This week, Mayor Andre Dickens announced that $10,000 will go to the Atlanta Legal Aid Society Incorporated, and $25,000 goes to
Destination Tomorrow is an organization that we also support, and so we're happy to be standing in solidarity.
Actress and trans advocate Angelica Ross sees the funding as progress.
A step in the right direction. Trans organizations are well underfunded.
In fact, data shows trans communities receive less than 1% of all foundation funding. That's 1 penny for every $100 rewarded. So literally, every penny counts. And beyond the celebrations, donations, and causes, Ross says laws can't get in the way of the support of not just trans women, but all women.
By supporting their full sense of self, their full health, our mental and emotional health, our physical health, and sexual health. The more that we focus on that and giving women autonomy, then we will be able to fight these battles with these bills that are trying to restrict our rights. Despite the King family's many losses, the theme of the evening was the spirit of gratefulness.
So thankful to have loved and to have been loved by Dexter Scott King.
Grateful for the short time the family had with the late Dexter Scott King. Dr. Bernice King remembers how her brother always marched to the beat of his own drum and who was ahead of his time.
A very analytical, brilliant person, a strategist par excellence.
Loved ones said Dexter was rocked to sleep to the melody of We Shall Overcome.
You, my love, were born a king, beautifully sculpted with the physical traits and intellect of the most revered and impactful man of our time, your beloved father.
And as the son of 2 great forces in the civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther and Coretta Scott King, Dexter followed in their footsteps.
Dexter was helping us to pioneer and opening up doors for people so that they too could build generational wealth.
Dexter's vigil gave us a walk through his history of excellence. He sat down with the man accused of killing his father, his 7-year-old eyes taking in that trauma.
Your efforts were not always met with praise or seen clearly by others. Your vision was often met with disagreements, challenges, and yes, sometimes conflict.
You have led me through the fire.
His family says instead of getting fired up, he led with love. And to that, they said, well done.
Dexter, I know, has been welcomed home. Mom and Dad and Yolanda. He's run his race. Now, it's up to us.
Dexter Scott King. The keeper of the dream. Tresia Bowles, 11 Alive News.